topics I want to talk about before we do our NFL championship games preview. And like I said, you can call in the show by dialing 323-962-1937. And if you have your cell phone handy, and you can't hear me on your radio or on your computer, you can dial in 323-461-6676. This week, for the first time in a long time, ESPN did something that I really liked. They called out Dana White, and Dana White is pretty upset with ESPN because of it. Apparently, as I've been saying on this show a few times, the MMA is cheating its fighters out of money and supposedly strong arming them, and supposedly there's litigation possibly going to be out against them for monopoly practices because of the fact that it's not allowing its fighters to go out and earn a living. Now, I think that latter part might be a stretch because obviously they don't have to fight at the MMA. They can go anywhere. There's free will. But, like I said, I'm not a big fan of the MMA. I just think that what Dana White has done is it's almost like Vince McMahon has done with wrestling. You know more about Dana White than you do about the fighters. And the fighters deserve to be paid more money because they're the ones taking the risk. They're the ones getting, you know, in the octagon. I will always be pro players, folks, no matter what I do. I will always be pro workers and always be pro players. If I'm the person, even if I'm the boss, if I'm not the one that pays you, if you got a legitimate gripe, I'll gripe with you. But to me, it's a shame. And a lot of these fighters are afraid to speak out. I guess Ken Shamrock, tried to take them to court, and I guess he lost. And I think some of the other fighters are, trying to figure out ways to make money on their own and do their own thing. But until they can do it, they just got to learn how to play ball. And that's pretty sad. For the second time in about 6 months, we have another baseball player from the Dominican Republic who apparently is playing game under an assumed name. Pretty scary thought. Fausto Carmona has been in the major leagues for the last 5, 6 years. To find out he's got that's not even his real name, and he's 3 years older, that's pretty scary. I mean, being here in Hollywood, everybody, tries to conceal who they truly are. But it's pretty sad that, this guy now is in trouble with the Dominican authorities, and the other guy from the Florida Marlins, he should be in trouble too for doing the same thing. So, it's been a crazy week of sports, folks. There's been a lot of things that don't make a lot of sense to me in terms of the firing of Mr. Caldwell and, hearing this horrible it's not a horrible story. Obviously, tennis players are still paid pretty good. But hearing that they only make 11% of the revenue at certain events is pretty bothersome. But we move on from all that, and let's get ready to talk NFL championship game previews. We kick it off first with the Baltimore Ravens versus the New England Patriots. In my opinion, this game won't be close. I think the Ravens have a game plan, they have a blueprint in place to beat the Patriots, but it's going to be a question of implementation. If they can't run the football, this game will be a blowout. The Patriots have introduced a style of football that no one has seen in years. Tight ends have been absolutely obsolete in the National Football League for the past few years, with only a handful of them getting any type of notoriety in football. I mean, if you think about the best tight ends in football, you think usually of Antonio Gates, you think of Tony Gonzalez, you think of, Shannon Sharp when he played. But you don't think about what you hear these days. And the Patriots have two guys who are superstar type tight end players. Plus, you combine that with Wes Welker's ability to maneuver in between the safeties and the linebackers, you have a matchup nightmare. Now, granted, the Ravens are saying to themselves, boy, they wish this was, 10 years ago. when Ray could run with anybody and Ed Reed didn't have so many injuries. Obviously, Ed Reed was in college 10 years ago, but I'm certain that the Raven players wish that they were, this was a little bit different time period because they had better players who can cover the Patriots tight ends. But the simple fact that these teams play each other so much and they know each other so well, it kind of hurts the Ravens defense because essentially the Ravens can't play the man-to-man. They're going to have to play zone. And if you play zone against Tom Brady and you don't get any pressure on Brady, you're basically setting yourself up to get lit up like a Christmas tree. I think the only chance the Ravens have in this game is to run the football, slow the game, make the game go faster by limiting the Patriots' possessions. But if they can't run the football, and Flacco is rattled, which I don't think he was and will be, I don't see any way in which the Ravens can keep this close. I would love to see the Ravens make it to the Super Bowl because, I think Joe Flacco is a person who is definitely trying to make his name for himself. He's become the forgotten quarterback of that class. He came in with Stafford and he came in with Mark Sanchez. And Sanchez and Stafford have, Stafford this year threw 5,000 yards and Sanchez has been to the AFC Championship game the last 2 years. But Flacco is the only quarterback who's been in the playoffs all 4 years and has got a playoff victory in each of those 4 years. So he's trying to make a name for himself. But I just don't know. I just don't know the Ravens have enough weapons to get it done. They have 2 good tight ends, and they could do the same thing to the Patriots as the Patriots are doing to them. But it's going to come down to pass protection, and if they can just run the football some, they should be able to give the Patriots all they can handle. But I don't see that happening. I think the Patriots are really on a mission. Tom Brady is trying to play for history. He's trying to join Bradshaw and Montana as 4-time Super Bowl winners. He's trying to surpass all of Joe Montana's records in terms of the postseason. And I think that at home, the Patriots are going to be tough to beat the next 2 games because the Super Bowl's in a dome stadium, which is going to be difficult for anybody to stop them in the dome stadium. And I think at home, it's going to be 30 degrees. It's a day game. If it was night, maybe there'd be a little bit more electricity. But during the day, I just think New England is just that much better. My heart wants to give it to the Ravens, but my mind is telling me to take the Patriots. And I shall. And we'll be back on 89.7 KLES-FM after this.
Welcome to your new job, young man.
Thanks, boss. So, when do I get to choose my new office?
Choose? What do you mean choose?
I'm looking for something in a corner window office.